I'm Meagan Skidmore. For 2.5 years, I have been talking about evolving faith journeys. I started to tire of the heaviness of this focus. I had the clear message come through. It is time for Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast to evolve into Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. With the same vulnerability and unapologetic authenticity, I will be focusing on the joy in this journey, the life and the living that comes on the other side of maybe, on the other side of what's possible. I want to talk about claiming spiritual sovereignty and becoming your own captain of your vessel. Let's celebrate releasing what no longer aligns for you and connecting with your higher power and honor expanding your energy field to make room for all things new. The vibration is high this month on Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Pretenses dropped and caution thrown to the wind in each interview. I am dropping a new episode daily, spotlighting one of the amazing, soul-led, heart-centered authors of Joan of Arc Publishing, or JOA Publishing, founded by Kira Brinton. Like the namesake for this publishing house, each one embodies the fearless, God-centered spirit left by the legacy of Joan of Arc. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single one. Welcome to today's episode of Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt. If you've been following along, we're in the middle of a month-long JOA book club. And today we have, if you've been listening, you know we've mentioned Kira Brinton. She's the queen of this amazing community. And today I have the queen mother. Just like they called King Charles's grandmother that. So I have Joyce Brinton with me today, and I can't wait to just turn the mic over to you and give you the opportunity to share all about you, your story, your background, and some of your faith journey. So Joyce, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Meagan.
You are so welcome. So just feel free to dive right in.
Okay. Kind of review the questions you'd asked me. And I guess my upbringing, my faith journey, so to speak, is I grew up in a home. My Christian parents. My dad was like a Baptist minister. My mom was Church of Christ. Then they heard the story about Joseph Smith, started heading west, and they were in Missouri and joined the RLDS church. And then, I don't know, I guess it was about age 10 when they found that, or no, before that. Anyway, then they found the LDS church after that, and they joined, and then they gave me the option to join if I wanted. My brother and I was the baby of 6 children.
Okay.
And so my brother and I were the only ones left at home. So he joined when he was 12. I joined when I was 10.
And just really quickly for our listeners, when Joyce is saying the RLDS church and then later on the LDS church, both of these sects, we could say, started around the same time in the 1830s, 1840s, and some stayed back Midwest and created what they called at the time the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they have gone on since then and still are present today. They go by the name of Community of Christ. Mm-hmm. And so what Joyce is saying is that her family eventually joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church. So they are two distinct sects, we'll say.
Yeah. So that, my parents were both very charitable. So I grew up with watching and being a part of a lot of charitable acts. Like we were constantly bringing in people who didn't have a home and housing them. Or, my dad was an entrepreneur forever, and my mother worked for the state of Colorado. And so money was good, and then it was not good, So when we did have some people who were living with us, we live on beans and oatmeal sometimes. And, it's just always, they were just very, very charitable and always doing kind acts for people. And that was what I grew up on. They were not super strict religious. I grew up in the 70s, so I wore whatever I wanted and kind of lived a carefree flower child life. And they weren't super strict. And so I didn't grow up in a real strict Mormon family.
I kind of gathered when you said that they gave your brother and you the choice of whether or not to join. One of the things I really experienced a lot of shame and a lot of guilt when I started to realize I had a lot of questions that were bubbling up to the surface about my faith of origin, which is LDS. And I had doubts, and I realized it was because I grew up in a place that those weren't, in a community, I should say, that those were not really safe. They weren't encouraged. Certainty was what was rewarded and sought after. So that's a unique perspective you bring to the table, that your parents were open-minded in that way.
Yeah, I had four older sisters who were all married and they all smoked and drank.
Mhm.
I started smoking at age 12, and
Oh my
it's just
goodness.
like it was just kind of like what they did, so I just kind of followed in their footsteps. But the cool part about it is that I noticed they were really having a hard time quitting smoking.
Mhm.
So by the time I was 14, I quit smoking because I thought, you know what, I don't want to be their age and have a really hard time.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
did learn a lot from my four older sisters. A couple of them were pregnant before they got married. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're not happy, you know?
So
So,
share with us, do you feel like you've found God or that higher power in your younger years? How was it not till later? Like, tell us a little bit more about that part of your journey.
I would say, well, I always had experiences with angels.
Okay.
And so I knew something was watching over me. And I did pray to God, although, I was sexually abused by my father. And so God was a little scary to me because he was a father image. And so I really, really, really believed in Christ more than anything. And I prayed to Christ and
Uh,
worshiped Christ in my, gosh, I would probably say that was my worship till I was in my 30s, late 30s. I spent a whole year, probably late 30s, doing some exploration of who God was because I was afraid of God. Because that was like, if God is a father, my father was a little rough on me. So I don't know about that one. So I did a lot of exploration of reading scriptures, reading books, different things about God, and realized if I love Jesus, then I can love God because they
yeah.
very similar. So
Understandable that you would have had that kind of that fear or
yeah,
hesitancy, and you're not alone in that. So what I love about that is you claimed your faith journey. You chose how you defined it and what that looked like for you in real life, what resonated for you.
yeah,
And I hope to normalize that more women can feel empowered to claim that sovereignty over their faith or spiritual journey, however they term it. So was there ever a point where you realized your belief system wasn't working for you? I mean, you kind of alluded to that when you said your hesitancy toward worship, praying to God, who was a male figure, kind of a father figure because of the sexual abuse that happened when you were younger. Do you remember any other times, like when you said you felt the presence of angels, you felt them around you? Was that something easy to share with others? Is it something you kind of held to your close to your heart? Um,
I shared it with my parents, and I think because they had a similar gift,
mhm.
because pretty much until I was past college, because I had visitations from angels at college where it scared me, because one, it was a woman standing next to my bed every day for 5 days in a row. And I'm like, what is this? She had this big book, and I'm like, I don't know what this is about. So I called my dad and I told him, and he goes, oh, that's my mom. Talk to her, see what she wants. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to talk to her. So, I was still scared of the gift, I think. And then realized I'm probably in my late 30s. So it was probably my late 30s, mid 30s, yeah, probably 36, 30, no, 33. I started having my memories of the sexual abuse. I didn't remember it
Yeah.
until after my third child was born. And
Okay.
that's when the memories started coming back. And so that's when I started questioning stuff.
Okay.
And that's where I started really like, okay, where is there a God? Where is the God? And is he any like my dad? I don't want anything to do with him. So
Mhm.
that was probably where I really started questioning things
Mhm.
and I never questioned seeing the angels. I just knew they were watching over me because I'd ask for them and all of a sudden I'd see them, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
That's a
um,
beautiful gift. I
yeah,
love
it's wonderful.
I love hearing you talk about that. And Kira clearly has that gift. She
Yeah,
shared that with us in our various masterminds
yeah,
and other workshops. I love hearing you talk about it because for you and Kira as well, like this is just kind of maybe not every day, but it's kind of it's and I'm willing to share this, Joyce, because there's so many out there who don't have this gift or who don't necessarily realize how ever present the heavens, the divine,
Mhm.
God, universe is in
Mhm.
our lives.
Yeah.
It's
I also think people are afraid.
mhm,
I mean, I'm currently writing a book similar to what I'm talking about, our gifts, because what I found is that people are so afraid to share or speak about it. And people are always wanting safety and security.
right.
That's, like if it's not safe, then they're not about to say anything, you know,
Have
or
you?
they've been shut down as a child.
Okay. So that's interesting to me that you have found that they're hesitant to share about their gifts because, I have found, in my journey that talking about questioning things and wondering if is this really true? Is this
Mhm.
wait, I found a different source here, or I'm starting to wonder about this thing, right? It's not necessarily safe to talk about that. It's
Mhm.
getting better in faith communities and beyond. But that's really interesting to me that when talking about gifts,
Yeah.
there's kind of a similar response. Do you have any like thoughts why that might be or in your experience, like what have
Well,
you
I
seen?
have theories.
Okay, theories are good.
No proofs, no, I mean, I started out 43 years ago as a psychotherapist and maybe 20 years ago, I gave up my license and just started using muscle testing and energy work in my work. And that doesn't fall under behavioral health. So I don't do that anymore. And I have a lot of clients who have these gifts who come in who are afraid. And what they're doing is they're seeing negative spirits. Like they say, oh, devils and demons are chasing me. And I said, well, then you have a gift. But the devils and demons don't have to honor your agency. They show up. They show up with every negative thought you have. And every negative thought you have about yourself, they're going to show up. But the good ones, they wait to be asked. Ask for the good ones and they'll show up to help you. And so I've had enough experience with people also with these gifts that come in and they're afraid. And some are shunned as a child, or some were told to shut up. Some were saying, don't say that. People will think you're weird. You know, uh,
Right.
my husband's brother died a couple of years ago and he died in heart surgery. And so we went to see his body at the hospital. Then we came home that night and I went upstairs and I saw his brother and he was just like stuck. And he had like kind of black leeches on him. And I came downstairs and told my husband, I said, he's not crossing over. So what's going on? We got to release him. So we did some muscle testing work of what we do and did some spiritual releasing of the stuff that he had left behind here. And then he was able to move on. And he mentioned the story at his funeral because my husband spoke and he said, yeah, Joyce sees dead people. And, and I'm like, and my kids are like, what are you talking about? Why is he doing that, Mom? I said, I don't know. It's okay. But afterwards, a cousin came up to me and said, hey, I see dead people too, but I don't tell anybody because they think I'm weird, and I thought, there it is. People go, I'm afraid people think I'm weird.
I just I love this. I just let's normalize it. It's not weird.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
beautiful. It's sacred. It's divine.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I tell the whole world because some people it doesn't land well with,
Mhm.
I'm not going to share it with them. And
Might be
I can feel
activating.
that. I can feel the energy of it. It's like, and I
Yeah.
don't go broadcasting, but oftentimes in sessions, I will see people's loved ones or people's lost dog, people who've had to put their dogs to sleep. I've had 3 clients this year whose dogs have died and they all show up in their sessions, and it's just sweet and it's lovely for the people. And I let them know that their dogs are there to still support them. But, yeah, so that's fun. But like I say, I don't always even tell the client people are there unless I feel like it would be helpful for them.
As part part of my commitment to giving back, every first Friday of the month, I offer a free coaching hour. Anyone is welcome to join, and you may leave your camera off and change your name if you would like to remain anonymous. This is an opportunity to get introduced to my style of holistic coaching and what it would be like to work with me, gain real skills, insight relevant to you, and fresh perspective on life circumstances. Each month is a different topic. For those attending, there will be opportunities for a complimentary one-off energy alignment session. Once registered, you will have access to discount codes for my other offerings. To get the link, including all the resources, register to complete the agreement at the link in the show notes. So, as you have taken the reins of your spiritual journey, and that's obviously something you've done for quite some time now, that's a really beautiful part of your journey. Can you think of other things that have brought you joy, moments that have just infused life into this journey? Sometimes it's a little scary leaning into where we feel our path is leading us, where we're meant to go. And we, I guess, in some ways kind of get stuck, but there's just so much beauty on this other side. I don't believe there's ever this really point of arrival, right? Everything in life is cyclical. It's not linear.
We're never done. We're never done. I have clients who are saying, how many sessions when I'm done? I said, can't tell you that one, sweetie, because we're never done. So you can do it for a little bit and then come back. You can do it a little bit and then come back, but we die, we're done, so.
Yeah.
But, 10 years ago, maybe 11, I did learn an energy healing tool. It's called Energy Mastery Foundations. And my teacher's in California. Her name is Siobhan Moran. And when I learned that was really life-changing for me. And it came in at a really poignant time because I was actually really struggling with my marriage. I've been married 43 years. And at that time, I was really struggling in the marriage, my relationship, and some stuff going on with my kids. And, it was just a rough time in my life. And learning how to clean my own energy field just really saved me. Plus, it was another place where I really felt angels' hands on my hands, and them helping me. And I've had some really beautiful experiences of different people just doing cleanses on them where I've literally seen their loved ones' hands touch my hands, helping me. And that's been really beautiful. And it has saved my life. I'm not, I would say I was pretty hyper, high strung, go, 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 go. And it has really slowed my energy, my high strength energy down.
Yeah, that is phenomenal. That is such a beautiful story to share with us. Thank you. So tell us what you mentioned briefly your book. Share about what brought you to that place to want to write a book specifically about, you said my gifts or just gifts?
Well, I guess it kind of starts with, I've written one other book. I wrote a book called I Found Myself in China because I've been to China 6 times and taught. And that was another big time. 2011, my youngest daughter was leaving home to go to college and I was pretty lost. What's my purpose now,
Right.
And so an opportunity showed up for me to teach in China. It was a volunteer 5-week experience. And while I was there, I blogged every day and just had such an enlightening experience because I got to find me. I found me outside of being a mom and a wife and whatever I was here. It was way away from everybody and I got to be a vessel and very, very cool experience. And so I wrote that book and it was actually right after I wrote that book. And I self-published, but I self-published through a little company, And Kira then came to me and said, Mom, I have to write a book. It came to me, I see it, and I said, okay, I can tell you about my publishing company. I published her. She goes, nope, God told me I have to open a publishing company. And I said, really? You really don't have to, honey. There's other ways. It's easier. And she's like, no, God told me to do this, so I'm going to do it, which is what she does. So, I look back on her journey and I really am a believer that God tells us what's next. He doesn't tell us what's in the end. If we knew it was in the end, we'd run like hell.
Probably. Yes.
It's like, no way, there's no way I'm going to do that in 10 years. Like if Kira was told 10 years ago what she's doing now, she would be like, are you nuts? You
Mhm.
know, really? So he's
Yeah.
really taken her in steps. And that's what I believe he's done with my life and everyone's life. He just takes us to what's next.
Yeah.
And cool story about that even. I was praying one time, I don't know, a year ago. What do you want me to do next, God? Just show me. And I just saw his hand like dropping crumbs. And I went, okay, I'll follow the crumbs. That means open doors to me and I'll follow. And the very next day I looked on Instagram and I have a girlfriend who's an artist and she's never sold her paintings, but she said, I have to sell my paintings to feed my damn kids. She has like 8 kids. And one of the paintings was a hand coming out of heaven, dropping crumbs and a hand collecting it. And I just
No,
started bawling.
no way.
I texted her, I said, oh my gosh, that's mine. I'll buy it. Give
Oh
it to
my
me.
goodness.
So it hangs in my office today as a constant reminder of like, just follow the crumbs, Joyce, follow the crumbs. So, so, so then
Wow.
after writing that book, I really thought I just went through hell writing that book because so many dark voices just pulling me down. Like, you don't know how to write a book. What are you doing? Da, da, da. And so probably 2 years ago, I teach classes. My husband and I teach classes. We teach a 2-day transformational seminar on muscle testing and forgiveness. And in that class, oftentimes we teach about people who play safe and secure means they're going to be sick and stuck because they're not moving forward. And so I often tell clients that. In fact, I see a lot of people who are sick because I do energy healing work. And my first question for them is, what are you not doing that you feel inspired to do? Because I find people get sick if they're not responding to the inspiration, because that's a great excuse to stop them. Well, yeah, I can't go do this because now I have da da da, whatever disease it is.
Yeah.
And so I've been saying I was going to write this book for a couple of years. I have lots of papers, notes, napkins, sticky notes. Whenever a thought comes to me, I write it down. Comes to me, I write it down. So I got this
I
whole
feel
folder.
that.
Yeah, I got this whole folder full.
I feel that.
And then Kira called me last summer and said, "Hey, I think God says you need to come to the island and finish your book." And I said, "Okay." I was just kind of waiting for her invitation. I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go if she didn't want me to go. And so, but I actually hung up the phone and threw my phone on the floor and said, "What have I done? Now I got to finish it." But it's getting there. I really feel like I'm really close to done. I just
Yeah.
keep reviewing it every day, and every morning I get up early to review. Um, but it started out on the basis of when you play safe and secure and stable, you're going to get sick, stuck, and stingy with your gifts. And then as I started writing, I'm just like, oh, we're really stingy and we're really stuck and afraid to share our gifts when they're spiritual gifts. So when that chapter came through, I thought, oh, well, okay, this is a big part of this.
I
So
love what you said when we play it safe, when we're stingy and secure.
safety, security, and stability
Ah,
creates sick, stuck, and stingy.
uh,
So so that's where it started, and then it was literally just last week at the JOA Collective that the download came to create some kind of a program for people with spiritual gifts.
yeah.
They can come talk about it, come share with other people what they experience, so that they don't feel so alone.
Yeah, you shared that with me, and I thought that was a phenomenal idea. And for those that are listening, I'll leave some more information. When Joyce is talking about Kira said, come to the island, one of the ways that you can write your book with JOA Publishing is by spending not quite a week, I think
5 days.
5 days, on an island in the British Virgin Islands. And it is the most, I haven't yet been, but I will be going this year.
It's very
Sac-
sacred.
Sacred. And yeah, I can't wait to experience it. And so I'll leave a link in the show notes about that, as well as a link to your book, Joyce. I'm curious, can people you talked about the energy healing certification you did about 10 years ago. Do you offer that now? Do
I
you
do. I train people. I have a 2-day class that I train people how to do energy cleansing.
2 day? Wow.
2 days. And they can do it on themselves or they can do it with clients, whatever they want.
I love that.
And
I'll put that in the notes
it's
too.
a wonderful, beautiful tool to have.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I would say it's actually my favorite tool to use on clients
Cool.
because I see immediate response to it. I've watched people come in who can hardly breathe because they're in so much pain. And when I finish a session, they walk out going, "Oh, what just happened? I feel better." I was on the beach in Mexico with my husband and a stingray. We were out in the ocean. A stingray came and stung him on the knee. And he just doubled up in pain and said, "Get me out of the water. This is a level 10." So I pulled him out of the water. He goes, "What are we going to do?" I said, "We're going to do what I do." So I just started cleaning the energy off the injury, the bite or sting, whatever it was. And he's like, "It hurts when you're pulling it off." I said, "I know. I can feel it. It's like just poisons I'm pulling off." And within 10 minutes, though, he was up and walking.
You
So,
could feel what
oh,
he
yeah, I
was.
could feel it in my hand. It was buzzing. I could feel
Oh,
like the toxins.
okay.
Yeah. So, so I mean,
Wow.
I've got lots of stories about that, but yeah, it's a very fun tool to have.
I love that. I'm going to look into that and
Yeah.
I'll leave all these links for people to be able to access. So tell us one final question. What does it mean to you to live beyond the shadow of doubt?
When I saw that question that you sent me, you know what? The first thing that came to me was trusting myself and my knowingness and my oneness with God. I lived a great deal of my life knowing that I had the gift of discernment, but I never trusted it because I wanted to be liked. So I was so determined to be liked by other people that I just trusted what they told me.
Uh,
So, if you get older, doesn't matter so much anymore. If people don't like me, I'm going to trust my knowingness. You
I
know,
love that, Joyce. Thank you so much for sharing that.
yeah.
So I'm going to throw out just some for fun questions, looking for one word answers, maybe two. Tell us your favorite book.
Oh, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years, 1,000 Miles in a Million Years by Donald Miller, one of my favorites, and Big Magic by Liz Gilbert. Love that one. And Course in Miracles. I read that every day.
You know what? I just found out about that. I'm going to start reading
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah, it's the best.
That's long. That's a big book.
It is a big book, but you know what? I started in the middle. I started
That's a great idea.
with the days, with where it talks about the days, and you just start and
I
read
love
one
that.
thing every
I'm
day.
going to do that. I'm going to do it the Joyce way. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, definitely extrovert. Yeah,
Okay. Night owl or morning lark?
night owl. But since writing my book, I now get up at 5:30 every morning.
That's
So
so interesting you say that. I've been getting up a little bit earlier past
yeah,
couple of weeks. Who's your favorite artist?
you're gonna laugh. I saw that. I grew up in the '70s. Peter Max. He's a psychedelic artist. I love his stuff.
Who is he?
So Peter Max,
Peter Max. Okay. And tell us your celebrity crush if you have one.
probably Matthew McConaughey. Whatever
Really?
he's in, I want to see.
I just say that. That's so funny. I'm doing lots of interviews every day to drop one every day this month, and someone else just said that. Do you do still carbonated water? Are you diet soda fan?
I
Beverage?
don't do any sodas, but I do carbonated water. I do like it now and then, and I've learned to like it.
Yeah,
I've never drank carbonation ever. I'm a huge water drinker. And we're
yeah.
almost done here, but I could tell
Yes.
you a very cool story about water.
Okay. Tell me.
Because I love water and my children know I love water. I swear every year they give me a new jug, to put
Wow.
water in. But when they were kids and we live in Arizona, I'd say, everybody bring your own water because I'm not sharing mine and you know it. And then we'd get in the car and they'd be like, "I'm thirsty. Give me a
Now
drink
you
of water."
listen. In Arizona, you get thirsty fast. Ooh,
Yes. And they're like, "Give me a drink of your water, Mom." And I said, "No, I told you. I won't share it." Now, I probably did, but
BYOW. You need a keychain.
yes. But
Okay.
I did have a dream one night about water. And I was dreaming that I was at the top of the Grand Canyon. I was going to hike it with my daughter. And I had a whole backpack full of water bottles. And she said, "Mom, You're not going to make it with that heavy backpack. And I said, you know me, I can't be without water. And there was a gentleman behind us, and he said, you'll be okay. There's water all along the way. And I looked at him and I said, I don't trust you. I don't know you. So I'm taking my water. Then we got to, the first water station, and the gentleman never said anything. He just smiled. He was just following us. So I took a couple water bottles out and left it at the water station. And all along the way, there was water. My interpretation was that was Christ telling me, don't think you have to do this by yourself. There is going to be water all along the way.
It's amazing.
And that for me, I have dreams like that I do a self-interpretation of them. And that for me, with the interpretation was, Joyce, quit trying to carry the load and do it by yourself. You're going to get help all along the way. And that's kind of a term when things get rough, whether it be financially or whatever. And I say to my husband, I said, yep, there's water along the way. He'll go, yep, it's coming. So
it's really cool. I'm learning that for myself.
Yeah.
Okay. And one last question. Tell us the furthest place that you've traveled.
I don't know which is further, Philippines or China. So I've been to the Philippines and China. So I've been to
Both
China
fun.
a lot.
Both sound fun. Well, I will make sure and leave all of these links in the show notes for folks to be able to find you and your work and connect with you if they have questions. I appreciate your time so very much, Joyce. I know you are so busy. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for letting me. It was good.
Absolutely. Writer, teacher, author, Mormon scholar, and founder of Dialogue Journal, Eugene England said, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue." As a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, my hope is that Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast is an extension of that vision. Visit MeaganSkidmoreCoaching.com to find this podcast and additional free resources, including the link for a complimentary coaching session. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more, or to send me a DM. Help the podcast grow. Please follow, review, and share with a friend.